now. We want to get into our conversation on COVID-19, and just when you thought it was over, just when you thought it was about to get better, just when you thought we were done with the waves and things were going to be still, here comes Omicron. And now we have to deal with that, and maybe Christmas won't be Christmas like we thought. Asiedu, he is a CDD fellow and a good friend of this show. A very good morning to you, gentlemen, and thank you so much for sharing your morning with us.
Morning.
Morning. Okay, so let me start with you. I was going to say doc, but then both of you are docs, so it'll be difficult to distinguish. So Kwame, let me start with you this morning on Omicron. Do you Omicron? Do you want to tell us about what we know about it so far? Just, the basic.
I mean, I'll start by saying it's early days. So the conversation is evolving. What we know is that this is a different strain of the virus that has a lot of changes on its surfaces. It's not just on what we call the spike protein, but it's got a lot of changes on all over it. And these changes are giving people a lot of concern because some of the changes have been seen in other variants may have changed. Because of the increased transmissibility, there are other changes as well that show that it could just escape recognition by the immune system, especially the antibodies. So those are the two major things that are of concern, because if the transmissibility changes, then it means it spreads quicker. And if it gets higher immune escape, then it means that it renders vaccines less effective. So what does that mean to the ordinary person? What it means to the ordinary person is that you need to pick up your protection, wearing your face mask, social distancing, and other things. And the other part is that you need to get fully vaccinated as soon as possible, because the higher the antibody levels, the less it hasn't changed, even though Omicron has come. Yes, it's giving concern, but even then, we are getting some information that's coming in from South Africa, who've done a fantastic job, which shows that the disease-causing potential, people are getting less sick. The diseases are milder, which is a good thing, which may indicate, again, I'll say it's early days yet, that the virus is mutating itself to be less.
Okay, Dr. Amoisi, let me come to you for a second. So obviously we're concerned with how easily transmissible the virus is, but also severity. And Kwame has just said, that it looks like the virus is mutating to be maybe, like he said, it's early days yet, but a little less severe. How soon will we be able to know, how severe it is?
No, thanks for that, and a very good morning to you. I like the way you say a lot of us were asymptomatic, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've never tested positive, but I could have had it.
Kwame said, exactly. Anyway, I think there's a delay on my line, so it should be okay, though. But saying more seriously, as Kwame said, we do not yet know, and it's really important to be very clear about the fact that we do not know. What we know is that the mutations suggest that this virus will be able to, or have had it before, the possibility of you getting it might still be high. Now, what we know about this virus is that the mutations seem to be a combination of all the mutations that have taken place already. So it's like a super mutated virus. The mutations that were present with the beta and then with the delta and the gamma and all the others seem to be present, plus much, much more. So the risk of it being a highly transmissible disease, as well as perhaps a virus, as well as perhaps the virus that would cause more severe disease, is high. What we've seen so far is milder disease, and that's only what we've seen so far. But the verdict will be out within the next 2 weeks to 1 month. This is what WHO is saying. Now, the reason is simple. One, the amount of time it takes just to understand the way these mutations work. Now we know these mutations, but how they will pan out in real life is as yet unknown. And so what this means is we need to allow for the passage of time and eventually to see what the outcomes will be in people. So this is why there's been this more or less knee-jerk reaction from many governments, because they would prefer to be safe than sorry. Although I do not agree with the measures that have been taken. So in terms of banning travel from South Africa and so on. But it just tells you that everybody's really treading very cautiously for two reasons. One, we don't want to repeat of the mistakes that happened with the Delta. The world economy is looking to move forward during this season, and nobody wants to put this at risk. And this is why the extra precautions are being taken all over the world, including here in Ghana, where December has been declared as the month of vaccination, which is really the way we should go.
Right, okay. Kwame, let me come back to you for a second. And on a lighter note, because this has been bugging me for days, who names the viruses? Like, okay, so there was Delta, I'm just wondering, what does Omicron mean? Where did it come from? Who names the virus? Can you unmute? Please? We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I said biological nomenclature varies. I'm quite sure you've heard about HIV-1, HIV-2. They are different forms of the same virus. Normally, in the past, when a virus emerged, they will name it after where it was found, like Ebola, found around a part of Zaire and a river which had the name Ebola. And those things led to stigmatization of countries and of specific areas, because if you were named, let's say if a virus came and it was named Kumasi, everyone would know that, oh, if you go here, you're going to get the virus.
Yeah.
So when this came, if you remember at the outset, they used to say the Wuhan strain, then they'll say the South African strain, they'll say the Brazilian strain, and they'll say the Kent strain, which were different strains. But these were leading to stigmatization. So the WHO decided that this time they were going to use the Greek alphabet convention. So alpha, beta, gamma, mu, and Omicron is the 15th alphabet of, the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. People would say, but why have you gone from Delta and suddenly to Omicron?
Exactly.
If you look at the nomenclature, it seems to suggest that every two mutations was given a number. So alpha had 2, then beta looks like 4, and that sort of thing. If you look, the initial number of mutations that were identified, like John was saying, now there are a lot more, were about 30. And so they decided to use the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet, and that's where Omicron has come from. So it is that the nomenclature they use, and there are so many reasons that would go into scientists deciding based on a new microorganism or a new structure what nomenclature they are going to use in their naming.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that lesson in naming viruses. Great stuff. I've had a few people ask, where the names come from, so I just thought I'd clear that. But okay, so a few weeks ago, the Minister of Tourism declared that December was going to be December in Ghana. That's what it was called. It's going to be a fun December. We're going to have all our concerts, all the fun stuff that we do here in Ghana during Christmas time, because, our numbers have been good. We've been vaccinating. December's vaccination month, all of that. He was expecting about 150,000 people coming into the country for Christmas. And then enter this new variant. So 2 questions. One, is it sustainable to still expect that we'll have that number of people coming in? And 2, will there be, some sort of consequence if we allow that kind of partying and chilling and all of that to go on over Christmas? And Kwame, you can take it first, and then Dr. Mwesi, I'd love to hear your opinion as well after that.
Interesting. You need to be cautious because our vaccination coverage is low. At the moment, there are only about 6% of Ghanaians, if that, who are fully vaccinated. So we need to be cautious and we need to obey the protocols. So I would say party with caution. To go all out would be taking us to the place where we were probably last December, because this is a strain that spreads pretty quickly. If you look at the Johannesburg area, it's pretty taking over. The last check I did, it's up 93% of all cases have been reported. So given the opportunity, it could hurt us. And so much as tourism brings revenue to the economy, and like John said earlier, economies want to recover, we also need to bear in mind that the recovery should be underpinned by public health expediency. And for me, to go all out partying, beaching and all that without masks and other things would not be prudent and would not be expedient from a public health standpoint.
Right, okay. Dr. Mwesi, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I hope you can hear me. My line has not been very friendly this morning. But as Kwame rightly mentioned, we need to understand that virus can spread much faster. And what this means is that partying or gathering together in large numbers or in masses is going to be totally disastrous for us. We may say we do not know right now how severe the disease that is caused will be. But as I said, you cannot afford to make mistakes with this. We've seen mistakes being made in the past, especially in the West, with this virus, and how the little mistake you make at a point in time comes back several months to bite really, really hard, leading to lots of death and ultimately a massive dent on the economy. So if you think about what it means to sacrifice the enjoyment of the Christmas, I'm not saying there shouldn't be any partying or gathering, but really adhering to the protocols and doing our very best, everything within our capacity, and especially to people who might feel slightly ill or unwell, just really to be responsible and just stay at home and not go out. I think if we are more circumspect, we can scale through this with minimal trouble. And what we need to understand is also the fact that the risk of more variants emerging is ever present, especially in populations like ours that don't have a large number of people vaccinated. And it's not surprising that we saw this emergence in South Africa. One, because although they have vaccinated a very large number of their people, they also have a large population of immunocompromised people on account of HIV/AIDS. And this sort of exposes the virus for longer periods of time to people. And this increases the risk of variants evolving. So our continent is a very special one in the sense that it is the continent that is most primed for the emergence of variants. Thankfully, the impact on death has not been as heavy as other parts of the world, but it just means that we need to make a concerted effort to be really, really careful. I wanted to just touch on something really quick, which is on the naming of the variant, which Kwame made mention of. And one thing I find so intriguing is how they skipped the names. And then Kwame, I know you wanted to come to this, but because of the time, and they skipped the she, the XI, simply because they didn't want to be offensive to China. And I thought that was very interesting. I wonder how kind they would have been to other parts of the world if they weren't as powerful. But I found that really intriguing.
Yeah, they skipped the new as well. If you realize they skipped the new as well.
That's right. They said they didn't want it to sound like a new virus.
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for that. Interesting clarification there. And we're going to speak really quickly to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Baje, who is also joining us this morning. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to the AM show.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I think I basically probably have just one question for you, and that is, how ready are we to deal with this new variant in light of the coming numbers we're expecting coming into town, in terms of the airports, in terms of our PCR testing, in terms of vaccinations? How ready are we?
Well, thank you very much. I think the readiness also starts with the communication. I think we need to move away from the the fear part and also push towards vaccination. Yes, we have a huge capacity for testing. I'm sure that one is not in doubt. Across the country, in every region, we are ready for our surveillance, and that's why we were able to pick it up within a week of, let's say, assessment of our periodic genomic sequencing, both within at the airport for those travelers coming in and in-country assessment for now. So what we are going to do, and as the whole world is doing, the best response is the protocols adherence and most importantly, vaccination. We're going to come out with a full analysis of the figures we have seen, and so that will make a case as to what should be the best response. And our best response we are recommending that we also expect the media to facilitate is that Delta came, we made the same noise, it came. Omicron, we made the same noise, it will come. But the solution is if all of us are vaccinated, we will be protected, and even we are also protected from severe disease if we are. So for us, the best is that's why we have declared this month as the month of vaccination, so that we can get a larger, significant number of the population vaccinated, so that we can also avert any spread.
Are we going to be discouraging tourists from coming into the country, or perhaps making it a little bit more difficult with tighter restrictions?
Well, I think for now it has been more of information management and ensuring that people get vaccinated and getting protected to come in. But those decisions go way, way beyond the Ghana Health Services. But I believe that if we encourage our visitors to get vaccinated before they come into the country, that would be a big boost, because we also have to balance other things with just COVID. And I believe that one of the key things that we have to start looking at, how do we stabilize a system that manages COVID so that we can also do other things and not unduly focus on the COVID pandemic.
Okay, when you say how do we stabilize the system that manages COVID, are you talking about our hospitals?
Mainstream all the systems we have, our testing capacity, our ability to diagnose, our ability to treat, so that we don't have a knee-jerk reaction. But I think we have institutionalized most of it, and how to ensure that we all adhere to the protocols and the principles that have been we've been preaching over the last 20 or so months, to see how the same way we are managing our things, we can also manage our COVID and also be able to go on with it. But as long as we keep on flagging from a non-adherence to protocols and we're having a surge and we have to rush to go and look at it, it takes attention away from other very critical areas of health.
Okay, my last question is, whilst we focus on getting everyone vaccinated, I think the target is 20 million. Whilst we focus on that, is there a plan from the Ghana Health Service for booster shots at some point, especially for those who were vaccinated as far back as March, April, May, around that time?
Well, that is it's a question that has to do with availability of vaccines and the priorities we have. Currently, we have vaccines, but we probably don't have vaccines that will go all the way to protect people and also now go ahead to do a booster dose. So it's something that we are looking at to see what do we do. How do we prioritize some small group for booster? And those are policies we have not concluded. And this is something we are continuing to discuss. But based on availability of vaccines for all who need it, and then we go to the extra. But we might look at a few special groups based on certain
criteria.
Their criteria, their disease situation, and see whether these people who meet this criteria will be considered for booster.
For booster. Okay. Thank you. That sounds great. Thank you so much for giving us your time this morning, and have a great day. That was Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boakye, Director General, Ghana Health Service. I think it's one main message that's running through from governments to all the relevant agencies, get vaccinated. It's the best thing that you can do for yourself, for your family, and for your friends. Get vaccinated. That's how come we've dealt with smallpox, with measles, with mumps, with rubella, with all the diseases that have come and killed so many people. Vaccination, vaccination, vaccination. So get vaccinated and then you can have a good Christmas. Because remember that you're also going to have to show your vaccination card when you're going to some events this Christmas. So you can sit at home. We will go and chill and come, as Kwame Eugene says in his song. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we have a little bit more for you before the end of the show. Don't go anywhere.